So what we're doing today, we have the bodice with the fronts redone.
Yay!
It's all together, it looks gorgeous, all the boning's in. The inside of the bust is basted this time.
Yay!
Which with my shiny blue thread. Because what we realized is, like most women, you get expand and contract as your body goes through its cycle. And I had forgotten that we actually had taken in the pattern previously because we'd made it during expansive and then we tested it and you were some contraction. So we are actually not going to sew this seam permanently until close to the wedding. So everything's going to be together except for sew done. Just because we don't want to get to the wedding and, oh my gosh, we're not at the right expansion contraction. That's just because we're not dealing with squishy stuff. The other thing I realized is the reason the wedding dresses don't have this issue at the store is because the sort of foamy stuff they put inside the bra that we have built into your bodice is sewn into the dress.
Oh.
So you're sitting inside that stuff in the dress. You may not completely fill it, but the dress doesn't care.
It will do what it wants.
So anyway, and so that's what's going on there. And so then we also have the lining. I got actual lining fabric. Unfortunately, it doesn't come any paler than this, and so that's why we're doing a quick test to make sure we don't. I don't think we'll need to put the pale fabric along the top. We're going to do a test just to make sure, because I don't like sewing things 3 times.
No, I don't think so.
And so I took a scrap of the lining fabric and cut it out, and I pinned it to, this is our former bodice front, and I pinned it to there, and I'm going to sew it along, and then we're going to do a special extra type of stitching, which I will teach you. But first you're just sewing along the top edge. So first stitching is plain Jane.
Okay.
And we'll come back. So now we've got this sewn on, and now, just like other times when we've got bulky stuff, we want to do our trimming of our extra bits. So we go anywhere there's a seam, cut off. You're doing this on the outside, not on the inside edge. So you're cutting the corners. And then you clip the corners. You want to think about when you're clipping corners that if I folded it in, see how here I have those extra bumps of fabric? You see those bumps between my fingers because I'm going on a curve. You don't want extra bumps of fabric. So when I'm cutting the curve, I don't want to just make a notch or a cut. I want to make a notch. So I'll show you what this does when I fold it back in. And so now, when I fold like this, because this is going to be on the inside, this is going to go like this.
Oh, I was like, it looks like it's on the outside.
No, this is before we turn it.
That's what I
So now, so if you look at when this is flat, those don't overlap. So when you go, how big should my notch be? It depends on how curved your curve is.
Okay.
If the curve were going the other direction, you would only do slits. You wouldn't do notches. So if you can't remember, do I need to make just a slit or a notch? Fold it in and see if it fits. So I'm going to quick notch away. So now we've done our clipping, and we want the lining to go to the inside, but you can see when I try roll it to the inside, it's like it wants to stick up. And it doesn't want to lay totally flat, and maybe the lining would show on the outside. So I'm going to show you a trick to make sure your lining stays to the inside. So we're going to put it like this, and it's floppy, messy thing. We're going to go to the inside, and we're going to stitch just along here on the seam allowance side, and we're going to make sure this is pulled flat. And well, I guess we'll do this on Rosalie's machine, so you can stop for a second while I get her machine set up. So now this is sort of a weird shape of the part, the across the back is easier, but this is the part we're starting with. So anyway, I want the lining side, I'm sewing all the seam allowance onto the lining, and I want the lining to be flat. This can be all wrinkly and pulled up and whatever, but I want this piece of fabric down here to be flat. And I want to sort of pull this over. So I'm pulling with my 2 hands to pull this apart. And I'm holding this flat. I'm going to attempt not to sew my fingers. I'll flip this over in a second so you can see what it looks like on the other side.
I need like a tripod for my phone. That might be something to look into.
I'm going to stop halfway so we can compare the right side and the left, and you can see the difference. So on the back side here, you can see there's a line of stitching just above where the 2 pieces of fabric come together.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally there's as few wrinkles as possible along there. And now when I fold this over, I'm just going to finger press it. We'll press it on the iron as well. You can see it automatically rolls to the inside. It automatically pulls the fabric around so that that lining fabric doesn't show on the outside.
There you go.
And it makes a nice, beautiful, smooth edge.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we're going to do, and I wanted to double check and make sure that we're not going to see any of that pink, which we aren't.
Yay!
Which is cool, because then I don't have to put an extra piece of lining fabric against that lining. And so then that'll be the inside.
Okay.
So now I'm going to do it for real. This is our replaced piece. And so I'll do it for real with the real deal.
Real deal.
The real deal, and then the back and all of that will be all nice and smooth. We'll be coming back for what happens at the zipper.
Okay.
But meanwhile, I'm going to do just what I did here to all of this, and we won't necessarily film all of that because it's just too exciting.
Yay!
Thanks.